Hey guys, welcome to class. Today we're going to be drafting a cupped corset with pin and neckline and asymmetric hemline. Okay, so having gotten our basic bodice, we're going to tighten our under bust. I'm going to be having 1 inch from the dart line on this side, and then the other side I'm going to be having half an inch. Altogether, the dart should be about 2.25 for a bust of 38 inches. Okay, so I'm going to rule it down this way. I'm going to connect it to my waist line. So after that, we're going to connect from the bust point to the under bust, placing our curve this way. You can see the way I placed the curve so that it curves out very well. We're also going to do the same thing to the other side, like so, just the way you're seeing it. Okay. Now the next thing to do is to connect to the midpoint of our shoulder. This is the midpoint of our shoulder because we want to tighten our upper bust. So what we're going to do is to determine the line for the upper bust. In this case, I'm following the under bust to bust, which is 4 inches. So from there, from bust line, I'm going to mark 4 inches up. From bust line, I'm going to mark 4 inches up. But this may be too high. After making it, I think it was high. So you can decide where you want yours to stop. That is the neckline where you want it to stop. So on this part, we're going to tighten our upper bust. I'm using 0.75 on this part, and on this other part too, 0.75. Okay, so altogether 0.75, 0.75. You can choose whichever one that works for you. Okay, so I connect to the bust point, and then I'll use my curve to blend the lines to avoid sharp edges. Okay, now the depth of the neckline, as in the sweetheart neckline, I'm going to give it a sweetheart neckline. But then to get the curve of the corset, the cup corset, I'm going to mark ½ inch in on where I want the cup to stop, the depth of the neckline to stop. Okay, I'm marking ½ inch in. I just want to make sure that the lines are the same, but this side seems to be 2.05 inch shorter. So I'll connect it, and from there I'm going to connect to the 0.5 that I went in from the CF line. Okay, I'm also going to mark the 0.5 on the bust line, and I'll connect them together. Now this measurement is optional, right? If you want the depth to be like this, fine. If you don't, you can change it. Now from there, I'm going to place my curve this way to get the curve. For a guideline, you can measure 1.5 from the point, CF point of the under bust, to know where your curve is going to pass. But if you're using this type of curve, it is just fine. So I'll connect it to the 0.5 that I marked from the CF line. So from there, I'm going to divide my bust into 4 and connect to the armhole. Okay, the under bust also, I'm going to divide into 4. We're working with 30, and I'll measure what the dart says, the dart intake, and add it back so we don't run shortage of any measurement. And we're going to connect to a bust line. The same thing I'm going to measure at the waistline, waist of 30, then mark out whatever the dart says and add it back, and then we're going to connect it to the line like so. This is quite easy and straightforward if you understand. Now the under bust, the bust darts, of course you should have gotten this from our basic bodies, but I'm just marking it now. Okay, so this is it. Now to the get, we're equally going to get the cup for this other side. I'm marking 1.5 inch from the side, 1.5 inch from the side. So I'll place my curve to touch the 1.5 inch that I marked at the bust line from the side of the pattern. Okay, I'm going to place it this way, touching the 1.5, connect to the armhole and connect it this way. Okay, now I just want to strengthen this line. I want it to be on a straight line, but it's still okay the way it is, but I just want it to be on a straight line, so I will clean the other one that looks like curve. I hope this makes sense to you. Like I said, the upper bust might be high. If you want it to be lower, you decide where you want it to stop. Now at this point, I'm going to get the Queen Anne neckline. Okay, so I'm going to get the Queen Anne neckline. Please, if you've not subscribed to this channel at this point, I think it's necessary for you to do so. You're going to determine the width of the Queen Anne neckline, where you want it to connect from your neck point to this part of the dart. Okay, to this part of the dart. It is just as simple as it is. If you don't want it this wide, you can make it smaller, right? You can make it smaller, but make sure it blends so well. It's not a must that it must definitely connect to the dart leg. You can make it smaller at the lower parts. Okay, so I'm going to come down by 0.25 from this line. Now this part you can decide to cut it off, because while sewing I'm also going to sew it out. Cutting it off will make you not to have any fold at the armhole area. I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so this is what we have as our bodice for the cup corset. I've cut everything together and I added paper. This is where our measurement is, and I added paper. Now from that part I'm going to go down by how much depth I want, about 3.5 inch from the waistline. Now from this side I'm going to measure how I want it to look. Okay, I've cut and put everything together, no longer unfold. It's now going to be an asymmetric design. So I'll connect to this part like so. Now I may not be following any particular design. This is just what I want to do. When I post the dress, you're going to see the way it looks exactly as this. Okay, so I'm drafting or marking out the symmetric line where I want, or how I want the lower shape to be. It's going to come towards the right side like so. Okay, so I'm now going to cut it out. The cup area, I've cut one part, remaining the other side, like half of the cup. Okay, so after cutting this I'm going to cut the remaining parts. I hope this meets you well. I hope you understand. Please, if you have any question, feel free to ask in the comment section. Leave your comments, ask your question. Please like and subscribe to this channel. So at this point now, I'm going to cut on a straight line. The darts are no longer there. We've closed up the darts. Okay, we've closed up the darts, so I'm just going to cut in a straight line. Of course you can't cut your fabric like this, so we still have to cut it out, and then we're going to cut out the um, cup area as you're seeing it. Well, this cutting is quite slow. It's quite slow, but then I hope it makes sense to you. I hope you understand what is going on. Please, if you have any question, feel free to ask your question. So I will just cut and cut the cup area, and then we're going to cut them on the fabric, iron, estay and other things that we need to do, transfer to fabric and start sewing. So in the next video we're going to look at the cutting of the sewing of the cup corset. The part of the yoke I'm still going to cut it out. Okay, still going to cut it out. So I hope this is quite easy for you to understand. I hope it is quite simple for you to understand, and we are now going to get the other parts of the cup. You can see where I kept it, and then we'll proceed to transferring to our fabric. Thank you so much for watching to this end. Thank you. Please subscribe, and I want to see you in our next video. I want to see you in our next video. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.